Toasties. I'm Missy, here with my bestie Johnsy.
Hey, y'all.
And welcome to our Toasted Shenanigans. How you doing over there?
I'm doing.
We're in person again.
Yep.
It's better this way.
It is.
It's so much better this way. I have this mic really close to my face, guys, and I'm really consciously trying to talk quieter.
Which is almost impossible for you.
Honestly, did not realize exactly how close this mic was to my face until now. I should have checked that before we started. If I get super loud, guys, I apologize. And also, I apologize to my husband when he goes and edits this and has to turn my ass down. You know, he gives me shit about it every time.
Yeah, I hear him.
What you drinking over there?
I am drinking some bourbon aged wine that's called curmudgeon.
Okay, I have to try it.
You're not going to like it. It's not sweet. It's very dry red. It's my type of wine. It's delicious.
Why does it not have a smell?
I don't know. It's very smooth.
Oh, there you go. It was the lid probably blocking the scent. It does have a smell. It smells delicious.
It's very tasty. 10 out of 10. I'd buy it again, definitely, for sure.
You want to know what this would taste really good with? Tacos.
Tacos taste good with everything.
Oh, shit. There we go. He even said something about that, and we're like, yeah, we will. We'll just make a comment about you. Anyways, so story time. I was at a Mexican restaurant, and I wanted a sangria. And so I ordered the sangria, and dude was still kind of like staring at me. And under where it said sangria, there was like a wine list. So he's just kind of looking at me, and I was like, oh, maybe I'm supposed to pick the kind of wine I want in my sangria. So I was like, Cabernet. And he's like, oh, Cabernet, okay. And I'm thinking he didn't hear me say sangria, because he's, like I said I wanted a sangria, and then he's just kind of staring. So then I was like, Cabernet, and then he's like, okay, Cabernet, gotcha. And he got everybody else's drinks. He left and came back with a glass of Cabernet. I don't drink Cabernet.
No, you don't.
That's a very dry red wine.
Yes.
And I'm like, oh, shit. I was like, no. And Lloyd's just like, do you want me to tell him, like, this isn't what you wanted? You wanted a sangria? I'm like, no, don't do that. Like, it's fine. I was like, I'll drink it. It's fine. I'll drink it. No, I'll choke this back. Because fortunately, when you go to restaurants, they don't do friend pours. They do legit pours.
Yes, they do.
So it's not like
it's not a big glass.
It was not a big glass. So I'm drinking it, and I'm just like, oh, this is so dry and gross. It's so bad. But I ordered it, so I'm going to drink this. And then I got my food, and I think actually I got fajitas. And I'm eating the fajitas, and I went to go take a sip of my wine, and I'm like, oh, it's good. It's good now.
Did you have steak fajitas?
Yes.
Yeah, that's why.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's what that needs. That's
big old fat fucking steak.
Juicy steak.
Oh,
I
love
did
me a good rare steak.
I had a rare steak for my birthday. Lloyd was not happy. Lloyd was not happy.
Why?
Because he doesn't like me eating such raw meat.
Oh, whatever.
Except for one. I'm sorry I had to put it in there. He's going to love that part. Sorry, Mom, Dad. No, I'm not. Anyways. But yeah, I did have a very raw steak for my birthday dinner. And I was like cutting into it. I'm like, oh, fuck yes. Finally, he got it. Because he always cooks it a little more closer to the medium side. And I don't like that. And, I always make a comment how he overcooked my steak, and he's like, well, it said that it was at this. No, you did that on purpose. You did it on purpose, sir. And so I'm cutting it, and it's just red, and then there's parts that was like, that's not even cooked. And I'm like, oh, this is lovely.
Maybe that's what I'll make for my birthday tomorrow.
There you go. A nice raw steak.
Yeah.
So I'm cutting it, and he's like, babe, that steak's not cooked. I'm like, no, it is perfect. You leave it.
Don't fucking touch it.
Don't fucking touch it. And you know what's really great is when it's like that, though, if you have, and it was a big steak, so I was not able to finish it. So I had leftovers, and I could actually eat the damn leftovers because you can reheat it and it doesn't cook. It's not overcooked at that point. It was still perfect. Sorry, guys, that was a ramble. Anyways,
No, what are you drinking?
I'm like my little bar next to me.
Yeah, I was like, what's she got over there?
So I had.
That's a hell of a wine stopper, by the way. That looks a little suspicious. You sure that's for the wine?
Yes, it's made by OXO.
Okay.
Brand, OXO, yeah. Okay. I've had this for like forever. This like there's like maybe a third of a glass of Barefoot Moscato in here.
Okay.
And I was like, that what I'm gonna need more because I don't do restaurant pours.
So
I do
you
friend pours.
Brought a bottle with you just in case.
So I brought the leftover mead that I also had in the fridge. It's called Private Flight. I haven't had mead on here in a while from Funktastic, so that's because I don't have much in my fridge at the moment. I really need to get it restocked in here.
Where's Chris Bennett? Come on, Chris.
He's hoarding it. I got to go over there and get some. But this is called Private Flight, and it's a raspberry mead with toasted coconut, raw coconut, and hazelnuts.
I think I tried that one before.
It's really good. It's really good. So that's what I got going on. And this is like a little bits left in there.
That's a whole cup, probably. A good cup.
Honestly, this whole thing would fit in a cup. Their bottles
Really?
are so weirdly like
They look like tall flask.
yeah. But like their bottles I've like poured into a cup thinking like, oh, there's probably like 2 servings in there. No, I'm like pouring and I'm like, okay, that's a whole bottle in my cup. So I've lately just been like drinking them straight from the bottle to save on dishes.
Well, there you go.
Mom's like, do you put it in a paper bag too? I was like, maybe.
Depends on how classy I'm feeling.
Yeah.
Well, what are we talking about? What you got for me?
Today we are doing another couple killer. This is a duo. We're talking about Susan Barnes Carson, also known as Susan Bear Carson, and James Clifford Carson, also known as Michael Bear Carson. And this duo is called the San Francisco Witch Killers. Yeah, so we're about to head into our spooky season, so I figured I'd talk about some witch killers.
I like it.
And it's a doozy, guys. Get ready for this. It's an ironic story. I also thought it'd be fun to talk about this couple because Miss Susan was born September 14th, 1941.
Hey, right in between us. Okay.
Well, yeah, right in between us. She's a Virgo, and she was born as Susan Barnes. She was your typical suburban housewife and a mom of 2 boys in the 1960s. She lived in Scottsdale, Arizona with her husband, and he made good money. Really, really good money, actually. But that enabled her to just be that stereotypical spoiled housewife. However, Susan always wanted more. You know, stereotypical housewife. No, I'm just
I was
kidding.
about to say, of course she did.
So what does Susan do? What any other housewife does, drugs. Just kidding, guys. This is not a bat at housewives at all. You guys are kick-ass women. It's definitely 100% a joke because you know how they just put it out there. And they said when I was reading, they called her a stereotypical housewife, and I'm just thinking of the, Desperate Housewives. So Susan started taking LSD, mescaline from peyote. And peyote is actually a plant. It's a small spineless cactus which contains psychoactive alkaloids, particularly mescaline or mescaline. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. It's actually considered a Schedule 1 controlled substance in the U.S., making it illegal. But there are exceptions to having it, and it's for religious ceremonies conducted by Native American church members. And, of course, they can't have anything nice. So it's getting taken away. And someone had to go and ruin it by making it a hallucinogenic. But you can chew it, soak it in water, or smoke it to get that psychedelic reaction out of it.
Yeah, Frankie makes a lot of tea out of it.
Who does?
Frankie.
Yeah. She did this while hanging out with her son's high school classmates. She would do these drugs with her son's high school classmates.
I don't like where this is going.
Which she would also regularly seduce and sleep with her son's classmates as well.
Exactly. I knew that was coming.
Rumor has it that she slept with 150 young men and boys.
That's fucking disgusting.
Yeah, because she was a grown woman and they're high school students. Now, that's just to show you it's not just men. Not just men.
No.
So, by the age of 35, she started to have delusions and hallucinations, or as she would like to call them, visions, even when she wasn't using drugs, which to Susan, that was not new to her, since she said when she was a child, she believed she was psychic. I really want you to hold that, because this couple is known as witch killers, but she believed she was psychic.
Okay.
Yeah. So, nonetheless, the infidelities, drug use, and psychosis just shattered her marriage, and her husband divorced. And with this, Susan decided to reinvent herself and change the spelling of her name. She's changing the S to a Z in her name. So instead of Susan, it's Suzan. Because Suzan. Gotta be different. It's the hippie times.
You gotta say it like an alien. Susan.
You also sound like a motorcycle.
Sorry.
Suzuki. Kawasaki. She claimed to have visions to find a soulmate and a loyal partner and disciple. And this is when she met James Carson. James was born November 28th, 1950. So he's Sagittarius.
Here we go.
So I just want to point that out real quick. We got a Sagittarius and a Virgo.
That's not a good mixture.
That is like, okay, I gotta adjust myself here. When I see the birthdays, right? I'm like, okay, you got a Sagittarius, the serial killer right off the bat. You're a Sagittarius.
Yeah.
But you paired with a Virgo to be your like partner in crime. You should have never ever been caught. Like.
Yeah, but she was a spoiled brat, so she's gonna get caught.
Oh my gosh.
She's gonna be sloppy.
Oh yeah. Wait. So he was born, like I said, November 20th, 1950, as James Clifford Carson. He was younger than Susan, which, of course, as her past shows, she liked having younger, whatever. And that made him the perfect partner. James was originally from Oklahoma. James was known as another nonconformist middle-class dropout, but he loved books and took an interest in history, religions, and philosophy. And he actually had a degree from University of Iowa in Chinese.
What the fuck?
Yeah, I thought that was random.
Okay. I'll float your boat.
But in Iowa is where he met his first wife. And after graduation, they had a daughter named Jennifer, and then they moved to Arizona. James's wife was the breadwinner of the family. She was going to work, which for the times was actually very unusual. It's the 60s, and he's home, and she's working.
Yeah, it's very unusual.
Very unusual. She was a teacher. James was a stay-at-home dad and a pot dealer. And according to James's daughter, he was a loving and attentive father at this time. And things just seemed to really work well for their little family. But, like I said, like most of the time, not all good things last. James began to become antisocial and prone to angry outbursts. And due to his growing unstable behavior, James became violent and would actually abuse his wife. Along with that and his inability or unwillingness to get a job, his wife divorced him in 1977, taking their daughter with her.
Good.
And shortly after this is when James met Susan.
Now, Susan.
When Susan and James met, it was an instant attraction. And with Fred and Rose, that's exactly what happened. It was instant attraction. So it just seems to be a thing, you know? The first thing Susan told him when she met him was that his name was Michael. And he said, no, my name is James. Which she followed with a reply, no, you are Michael, an angel of God. And from that point on, James went by Michael. And Michael wrote to his daughter, telling her in a letter that God had given him the new name Michael, which Michael was the name of an archangel that met the devil.
Yeah. How the fuck do these kind of people find each other? Anybody else she would have gone up to and be like, no, bitch, you're fucking crazy. My name's not Michael.
Yeah.
But no, he adapts it.
Instantly.
How do these people... I keep going.
I know. For most people with this connection, it would be a match made in heaven. However, in this case, it was a match made in hell. James was looking for God, and Susan was looking for a disciple, and they got married. And they took a trip. Actually, they got married when they took a trip to Europe.
Wait, they got married in Europe?
They got married in Europe. At Stonehenge, under the moonlight. In a very...
Well, that sounds like a fucking ritual if I've ever heard one.
Yeah.
Granted, weddings are pagan rituals that Christians adopted, but no, we won't go down that path.
Yeah, really funny, huh? Again, they were called the witch killers. During this time, Susan developed her own religion. From her drug and psychosis-induced visions, her religion was a twisted, radical interpretation of Islam.
What the hell?
Yeah, none of this about them makes sense. I'm telling you, it's a fucking doozy, man. When they returned to the U.S. is when they started to go by the surname Bear and described themselves as vegetarian Muslim warriors.
Okay, Toasty, so don't do peyote. It makes you crazy.
Yeah, don't follow Frankie's footsteps. How she reacted on peyote is not the same. By this point, Michael's ex-wife had become afraid that he would harm her and try to abduct their child, and she took steps to hide herself and their daughter from him, and she would move numerous times and cut off contact with mutual acquaintances to protect herself and their daughter. Their religion, however, was far from the tofu and white light that they were claiming. They believed insulting a woman was equivalent to assault and deserving of death. They also believed there were witches around them, using their mental powers to control others. And they also believed it was their duty to kill all witches.
Sure she wasn't like schizophrenic or something? Oh, okay.
Now, this kind of shared madness is called a folie à deux.
Oh, hoo-hoo?
Yeah.
A folie à doo-doo?
Folie à deux. Folie à deux. Folie à deux.
So they're full of doo-doo. Got
Right?
it.
Clinically, it's called shared psychotic disorder. Now, shared psychotic disorder is a rare delusional disorder shared by two or occasionally more people with close emotional ties. If more people are included, it would be a folie à trois, folie à quatre, and even a folie à famille, which is actually the whole family. And there was even a case that involved the dog.
What?
Yeah.
No fucking way.
This delusional disorder, is on the schizophrenic disorder spectrum.
See?
Yeah. The delusions are usually induced in the passive partner, in this case, Michael, by the active one, which was Susan.
So she literally made him crazy. That's how fucking crazy she was.
At this point, they only had two people in their religion. They were trying to build a whole cult.
I figured as much.
So they only had two people. So they began looking for recruits in the Haight-Ashbury district of San Francisco. I don't know if I pronounced height wrong, right? It's H-A-I-G-H-T instead of H-E, but I assumed it's height. In 1980, this area was still a major area for that counterculture and drug scene.
Mm-hmm.
And this is where they met Karen Barnes, and Karen Barnes is no relation to Susan. They just happen to have the same last name, although Susan's now Bear.
I was about to say, I thought she's Bear now.
She is Bear, but her maiden name was Barnes before the first marriage.
Oh, God.
I know.
What the track record.
I know, right? Karen was an aspiring actress, and they, at a party in 1981 in March is when they had met. And most people were repulsed by Susan and Michael's odd and even hostile behavior. However, Karen, a very open-minded spiritual seeker, found them fascinating. So they all lived together. And there they continued nearly nonstop tripping, drinking, and getting high. But yet again, not all good things last. Susan began to see Karen as a witch. She believed that Karen had an evil psychic power. She thought that she was a psychic vampire witch that was sucking the life and beauty and yogic powers out of Susan.
So she was jealous of her.
Essentially. But she believed that she had that psychic powers and had to be taken care of.
I kind of felt like this was going to be their first victim. I was like, oh no, stay away.
Yeah. So Michael and Susan murdered Karen while she was making a snack in the kitchen.
Oh man, they couldn't let her have her snack first.
No, they couldn't. They beat her head in with an iron skillet and stabbed her 13 times. And then they wrapped her body in a blanket and hid her in the basement.
That's some rage killing right there. That's not just protection.
Yeah. And here's the thing. I'll get into it later. Actually, I'm about to jump ahead on my own thing. So when the police found Karen's bloody body, they also found a scene just like straight out of Helter Skelter. Mm-hmm. The walls were covered in religious symbols and one word: Susan. The police discovered that both Susan and Michael were living with Karen and put them as likely suspects in the murder. However, they were already long gone by this point. And I could not find how long it took for them to for Karen's body to be discovered. So it was enough time for them to get away, though. From Karen's, though, they fled north to Grant Pass, Oregon, where they stayed in an abandoned cabin in the woods that Susan called Allah's Mountain. But they weren't there long, however, because they ended up getting kicked out by a park ranger. But they stayed there until spring of 1982.
I have a question. Mm-hmm. This is random. Where the fuck is her two kids?
I'll get to that. But, it doesn't matter. I don't know. I could not find anything on them. I don't know if her husband... Because he had the money. I mean, so he probably got a damn good lawyer and took the boys and just... And they were...
Or she was very, very, very self-centered.
Well, they were older, too, so they probably were like, you sleep with my friends. You're fucking disgusting.
Yeah, that, too. Okay. Makes sense. All right. Sorry.
Yeah, I could not find anything on them. Later, a good Samaritan let them stay in his treehouse. But there...
How nice of him.
I'm just like, was it a child that said he could? Is this a grown man that has the treehouse, or was it like a kid like, hey, go stay at my treehouse? That's cool.
Or is it a bomb ass treehouse?
Probably a bomb. Lloyd made it.
Yep.
But their weird, combative behavior soon annoyed the owner, resulting in him kicking them out. Susan, however, wasn't going to take that lying down and instructed Michael, I thought I'd repeat that, to take revenge on the owner. They robbed his home, taking many things, including a handgun, and then set the house on fire.
Why?
I don't know. Fortunately, nobody died from that one. Susan and Michael head back to California after this, where they got jobs as caretakers of a marijuana plantation in Humboldt
Oh,
County.
for Jesus fucking Christ. Oh, God.
I told you, this is a weird...
Did you make this up? Are you sure this actually fucking happened?
Dead ass.
What the hell?
I told you, this is a weird one. I don't know. I'll tell you how I came to be with this one.
Okay, whatever. Get on with crazy lady.
Workers on the farm claimed that Susan and Michael were anarchists who advocated revolution and predicted that a nuclear apocalypse would soon occur.
Oh, wow, that sounds familiar. Okay.
Yeah, right. In May of 1982, a man named Clark Stevens, who was 26, came to work on the plantation, and he and the bears butted heads quickly. They argued, and things got pretty heated, resulting in Clark saying something that offended Susan, which, remember, in their religion, that's a big no-no. And for this offense, because she was insulted, she ordered Michael to kill Clark. So Michael, being the faithful disciple, shot Clark dead with the stolen gun. Then they poured kerosene over his body and set it on fire. And then they buried it in a very shallow grave and covered it with chicken fertilizer in the woods so that nobody would find it, thinking that the smell would deter people from finding a rotted corpse.
I don't think it works like that.
Yeah, 2 weeks later, Clark was reported missing, leading the Humboldt County Sheriff to discover Clark's burnt remains. Again, Susan and Michael were considered the main suspects. So now it's 2. Now, they already had fled by the time the police were looking for them. Upon searching their abandoned belongings, though, the detectives found a manifesto Susan and Michael had written, which called for the assassination of the then President Ronald Reagan.
Hey, fucking leave Reagan alone.
However, the authorities had a hard time tracking Susan and Michael down. So we got 2 deaths. A house that they burnt down, and now they are open. They found documentation that they're looking to assassinate the president. So now they're really fucking wanted because now the president is being threatened.
Yeah, they got the FBI after him now.
In November 1982, Michael was picked up by the police in LA after an acquaintance saw him hitchhiking. However, to a police error, Michael was soon released and banished before Humboldt County detectives had a chance to question him. However, he did leave behind some valuable evidence, including a mugshot, address information, and the gun that was left in the police car.
Oh, boy.
I know. They're funny. In January, Susan and Michael were hitchhiking and were picked up by a man named John Hellier, who was 30 years old. And this was near Bakersfield. They were headed to Santa Rosa. Susan told Michael as soon as she saw John, she knew he was a witch and that they would have to kill him. And sure enough, they all began to argue as soon as they got into the truck. Now, allegedly, John's leg touched Susan's, and this was a death sentence. And they struggled, and John was able to pull over and get out of his truck. John did have a gun tucked under his seat because he was traveling by himself.
Yeah.
And it was for, his own protection. And John was going through some things at the time, and he was actually starting to come back around. Like, he kind of lost his family for a little bit, and he was coming back around. But they struggled. He got pulled over. Susan and Michael followed him as he got out, and they stabbed him and shot him right on the side of the highway. This was not a secluded highway, though, and they were in full view of passing drivers. And a UPS truck, actually, which I was like, UPS was around in the 80s?
Yeah.
I don't know why I thought that was not a thing, but a UPS truck driver is actually who spotted them and contacted the police from a fruit stand. the gentleman that had called the police then went back to the scene. John was still alive when he got there, and his last words were, "Brother, help me."
Oh.
John's brother was a UPS truck driver.
Oh.
And when his brother found out that that's what happened, he was devastated that he's like, he probably thought that that was me. And I hate that I couldn't have been there to help him.
Yeah.
Because he was a really great guy and didn't deserve to die like that.
Oh, these two are very cocky.
They're stupid. Suzan and Michael drove off in John's truck after killing him. The truck was quickly spotted by police, and after a high-speed chase, the couple crashed the car and was arrested. Now, while in custody, Suzan and Michael arranged a rambling 6-hour press conference where they told everyone their twisted beliefs and reasonings for these murders. So they said that they will admit to all the murders if they can get a press conference together.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
So they can try to make more crazies. Okay, gotcha.
They showed no remorse and, in fact, thought that they should be considered heroes for killing all these witches. Yeah. Before trial, though, they did withdraw their confession and actually entered a pleas of not guilty.
What? Did they try to represent themselves too as well?
I did not see anything about that. Like I said, there was actually very little about them. So on June 12th, 1984, they were convicted first of Karen Barnes' murder and sentenced 25 years in prison. Later, they were convicted of the murder of Clark and John, for which they received 50 years to life and 75 years to life, respectively. And in 1989, the First District Court of Appeals affirmed their third conviction, as it had previously done with the other two. And Michael is incarcerated at Mule Creek State Prison, and Suzan is incarcerated in Central California's Women's Facility. They are still alive, sitting in jail. They have yet to ever, since they've been in jail, have not seen each other in person, but they still write to each other every day. And
oh my God.
In a 5-hour interview with KGO-TV and San Francisco Chronicles, as well as homicide investigators, Suzan and Michael claimed to have been pacifists and vegetarian yoga practitioners who converted to a form of Islam. Their crimes emerged from a shared mission to exterminate individuals they believed to be witches. Consequently, the press dubbed them the San Francisco Witch Killers. Now, so far, everything they've done is, she thought she was a psychic herself, getting these visions. You don't, and then you got married at Stonehenge. Like, you don't think you're a witch yourself? So, like I said, they stated that they killed Karen, like I said, because they believed that she made a false conversion to their religion and was draining Suzan of her health and yogic powers. Their justification for the second and third killings were that Clark had allegedly sexually assaulted Suzan, and John had allegedly called Suzan a witch herself and sexually abused her as well.
They were in the truck.
Yeah. Now, remember, though, they had their religion that offending a woman was, with just your words, was considered as bad as physical assault. So he may not have ever touched her. He probably, though, like, are you like some sort of witch or something? And she felt insulted, and that was punishable by death.
We should call Karen Susan's, not Karen's, because she sounds like a Karen.
Yeah. From the day that they were convicted and through their incarceration up to 2015, they have showed no remorse for what they've done.
Of course not.
They came up for parole in 2015. Michael and...
Wait, what?
2015, they came up for parole. Michael and Suzan both were... One said that Michael declined it, And the other I've saw said that both Suzan and Michael were denied. So back in 2015, California was trying to clean things up in their police or in their jails because they were cluttered. And they passed a law that if you were over the age of 60 and you at least served 25 years, you were just let go on parole.
No, let go of the people that have been wrongly charged. Let go of the people that have these stupid little drug crimes. Let go of those. Don't let go of fucking murderers. Are you goddamn stupid?
Yes, they are. It's California.
God, I hate that side of the country.
Sorry, guys.
Sorry if Cali people. You toasties are wonderful, but I hate Cali.
Your guys' laws are weird. They're batshit
They
crazy.
just don't make any fucking sense.
Yeah. No, let's keep the 18-year-old kid who just happened to have a bag of weed in his back pocket. Let's keep him in jail. But you got this murder duo trying to rid the world of witches. They're 60 years old. Let them out. No.
So you're telling me it's worse for this kid to smoke pot and get caught with it, or sell it and get caught with it, than it is to go kill 3 people.
Here's my thing. How come Manson wasn't let out and he didn't kill nobody? He was in California too.
I have my own conspiracy on that one. So when you do that episode, we'll talk about it. But until then, I'm going to button up on that one.
Yeah, you better. The couple said they kept a list of targeted individuals, including political figures and celebrities such as Ronald Reagan and Johnny Carson. And authorities think they may be responsible for nearly a dozen other murders in Europe and the U.S. However, they don't have enough evidence to bring charges on them.
They probably are.
Well, they were in Europe for a long time, and I did read that the trip to Europe was to try to recruit and spread the word of their religion, and Europe wasn't having it at all. They're like, these people, which is why they came home.
Yeah, you're not citizens. You can't do that over there.
Yeah.
I was surprised. You can get married not being a citizen, or they just had like a...
Who the fuck knows? They're weird. It was a different times.
I don't know.
Now, Michael's daughter has spoken out about her experience during this time. And I thought it was really an interesting thing to hear of from the perspective of the child who had the murderous parent. Because I've not seen many times. I mean, you brought up with
Maxine.
Yeah, was that the last episode?
Yeah.
Yeah, for her. But that, she justified what her dad was doing. I don't know. She was weird. Sorry.
She didn't justify it. She just said that his sentencing was too harsh because he's mentally sick.
Yeah, which he wasn't. But I thought it was very interesting to hear from another child who lived through it. Because she actually saw quite a bit. So Michael did not fully disappear out of his daughter's life actually right away when her parents divorced. And she remembers the day there was a knock on the door that it startled her and her mother, because this is in the time that they were in hiding from her dad. But it was 1982, and her mother had fled to Southern California. Now, Jennifer was then 7 at the time, and out of fear that her drug-abusing, mentally ill father and equally disturbed new wife might be at the door to harm them, they weren't expecting any visitors that day. So her mother kind of sent her away to go hide as she went to go answer the door, and instead of it being them, it was the Secret Service. Jennifer's mother, like I said, she ended up sending her to the room to answer countless questions about Michael. Questions like, has he ever threatened to kill a president? Or what are his political beliefs? They informed his ex-wife, Michael and Suzan, are murder suspects, and they were investigating him for a substantial threat. And shortly after her divorce with, then James, now Michael, Shortly after her parents' divorce in 1978, her father met Susan and they married in 1979. So it was like quick. She always remembered her father, like I said in the beginning, as loving, and remembers him reading to her and braiding her hair, and claimed he was fun. But it wasn't until he met Susan that Jennifer remembered her father just unraveling. He was once attentive, but began to ignore her and just became a completely different man around Susan. Jennifer says about Susan, she was very dominant in the relationship. And Jennifer had a bad feeling about her. She said, quote, "In my preschooler mind, she was the Wicked Witch." Jennifer said that the house was like the haunted forest from Wizard of Oz. It was just really dark, and there was like over 100 potted plants in like the one room. So it just looked like this like haunted forest. And she has glimpses of memories where Susan pushed her under bathwater, holding her under, and she couldn't breathe.
What the fuck?
Yeah. Susan would tell this little child that she's in the house of horrors and she's not going to be feeding her. And she would tell her that she was the devil and was going to hell and deserved to die. Susan, backtrack. Jennifer asked Susan, I guess, to like rub her back, and Susan scratched her back, leaving open wounds on Jennifer down her back. 5 nail marks just straight down her back. And when Jennifer's mother learned they were leaving the country, she took action. She was convinced they were going to kill her and take Jennifer and then kill Jennifer.
Yeah, I probably would have thought the same too as well.
So for nearly 5 years, Jennifer and her mother were on the run, just living in fear that one day Susan and Michael would find them. When Jennifer learned about her father and what he had done, she wanted to know everything. She read all the newspaper clippings that she found in her mother's dresser drawers. She just looked up everything, everything, because she began to worry that she had inherited what she called the monster genes. And she began to have nightmares about her father's victims. Now, by 9, Jennifer viewed every adult as a potential killer.
Yeah, it changed your view.
Yeah.
Especially being a guardian, yeah.
Yeah. The whole world just terrified her. She also feared that she would grow up and kill people. And if you are afraid that you will grow up and kill people, I'd like to think that means you are not going to kill people, because if it scares the shit out of you, you still have a conscience.
Yeah, but I understand it because, like, most of the time when, you know, my mom went on her crazy spurts and whatnot, that's what I worried about as a kid. I was like, is that going to be me? Because I knew it was genetic, because I heard my family talk.
Right.
Wasn't stupid.
Right.
But, like, I can definitely see where she's coming from.
Well, fortunately, in addition to her mother, who she remained very close to, because that was literally the only person in her life.
That was her anchor.
Her anchor and the only thing she could trust.
Yeah.
She also had her stepfather, Michael Gonzalez, who her mother ended up meeting in 1984. So this is after, you know, Michael.
And his name was actually really Michael, right?
Yes, it's actually Michael.
Just making sure.
Yes. Which is ironic that anybody would have trusted him, being that his name was Michael. But he helped Jennifer heal and turn her life around. And she actually calls him the knight on the white horse and an incredible man.
Aw,
I know
love that.
I know. Oh shit! I got too far. Sorry, guys. Hold on.
Healing hearts he didn't break.
Or,
that's a good man.
Or stab or anything. Yeah.
Yeah, that too.
But he sought out counseling for Jennifer. He signed her up for Girl Scouts and the church choir, and put her on just a very regular schedule.
Okay.
In his care, Jennifer was thriving. She said that he, quote, he invested in me, and I believe that's why I'm okay. I was a little kid with severe childhood onset post-trauma and a severe depression, severe suicidal ideations. I was not doing well. Jennifer went on to actually earn her doctoral degree in social work. She went on to become a trauma expert. Over the years, she had been featured on CNN, IC, and NPR. And she is also on the board of the American Association of Suicidology, which is a nonprofit suicide prevention organization. She says that, quote, not only can you survive after advertently trauma battles with mental health and so on, you can get help and then you can thrive. And if someone is struggling today, get help because it can get better. It's okay to not be okay, and it's okay to get help because things can get better.
Aww.
Jennifer recalls before her 89-year-old great aunt passed away, she said that the family would say, what's going to happen to poor Jenny? And according to Jennifer, her aunt's response was, quote, told them, poor Jenny, my ass, the girl is brilliant.
Good for her.
I know. Jennifer adds, quote, I think the other part of my story that I always like to share is that our children are resilient. If we can invest with them and love and connecting the child to the help they need, or the child can overcome early trauma, our children can overcome early trauma, and recovery is possible. And I wanted to, at first when I read that, I wanted to get so angry because I heard that damn word resilient and how children are resilient. But then as I continue to read where she is like, you need to, they can be resilient if you invest the time. I'm like, okay. You're not just expecting kids to bounce back from fucking bullshit. Because I heard that so many times. And yes, kids are resilient. However, you have to invest the time to help them be.
Correct.
I'm going to leave it at that. The physical and emotional abuse Jennifer suffered at the hands of her stepmother caused deep wounds. She was plagued at an early age by terrifying nightmares, PTSD, and debilitating depression that left her at times suicidal. Her past inspired her to help others. Now she is a social worker, suicide hotline manager, and trauma expert. She is Dr. Jen Carson. She is uniquely able to help others who are living in the shadows of a family member's violent crimes, and she is truly brilliant.
Aww.
And I loved that I was able to find about her. Unfortunately, like I said, you asked about the two boys. There wasn't anything.
They probably want to keep it private.
Probably, because you got to think they're the ones who lived with the psycho person.
Yeah.
Now, Michael or James had issues. He did have mental health issues prior to Susan. So he was already weak-minded, unfortunately.
Yeah.
He was coping with drugs with his mental health issues. And Susan was also crazy. She gonna sit there and talk about the psychic powers you have and that then say you're gonna kill witches.
She's just very self-centered. That's all I can explain it. She's very self-centered.
Very self-centered, and they were very fucking sloppy.
Because they were that cocky. They were just that self-centered. They didn't see outside that box.
Well, she was cocky. He was just following orders. He wasn't, I don't think I don't know how much peyote he might have tried.
Who knows?
Don't do peyote, guys.
No.
Don't do drugs, period. Of this listed order that I talked about.
Okay. Drugs are bad, kids.
Yeah, I'm gonna leave it at that. I don't know. I can't. I'm not gonna judge you for marijuana. I mean, go smoke your weed, guys. Smoke your weed, and nobody deserves to be in jail for it.
No.
Not one fucking person.
No.
Get them out of there, guys. And the only time that I will be like, okay, that person deserves to be in jail for weed is if it resulted in any type of violence. But at that point, you're not in jail for the weed. You're in jail for the violence.
Correct.
We just happen to be the thing that was there. That is the only time that I'll be like, okay, yeah, you gotta
It's not a crime to smoke weed. It's a crime to
be violent about it.
Be violent, which I find hard to imagine if you're smoking weed, but you know, it happens.
Dealing going bad.
That's
usually when the violence happens.
Or either you're smoking it while driving.
Oh yeah, don't do that. Just like, don't drink and drive. Don't smoke and drive, guys.
Yeah.
I want to just say, like, I remember I smoked cigarettes in high school, and I remember hearing all the time on how, like, oh, cigarettes are so bad. They're so bad for you. That's why I smoke marijuana. It's natural. Well, for one, cigarettes used to be natural.
Yes.
Just saying, it was a tobacco leaf. And then government, regulating everything and also putting all the additives and taxing the shit out of it to get more money out of people. You know the process.
What do you think what's going to happen with marijuana once it becomes legal? The same kind of shit. So
exactly.
You guys better start growing that shit in your backyard because it's going to get a lot of shit in it.
Exactly. So I just want to put that out there. Second of all, a cigarette doesn't alter my brain process. Marijuana does. I'm not judging anybody for being on marijuana, but it does alter you aren't the same person not smoking than you are smoking.
Correct.
So for anybody to be like, it's better for you, for one, nothing should be in your lungs other than the oxygen.
Correct.
For two, it alters your brain, so it's not. There's no stop comparing things, people. But smoke your weed, guys. I ain't judging you for it. I don't personally do it. It's not my thing. To me, it's not my thing. But I ain't judging nobody for it. That's the only drug crime I don't think should be in jail. Because it's not a crime.
No, it's not a crime.
But anyways, yeah, that is
thank you.
The San Francisco witch killers. As we enter into spooky season, I'm glad I wasn't around them, man. I would not have been murked. I would have been like, who the fuck are you?
She would have hated us right off the bat because we're both Virgos. She would have felt threatened.
I was gonna say she would have tried to murder me. Michael was weak-minded, very weak-minded, but it was there already to happen. She just happened to pluck him at the right moment.
It's crazy how people like that come together and meet. It's just ridiculous. It's like all the people in the world they had to meet.
Right, I know. And like I said, I really loved hearing about Jennifer and just how she's thriving. And kudos to her fucking stepdad, man. Way to step up, bro. That is amazing. Amazing. I hope he's proud of himself. Because it sounds like she's very proud of him. Yeah. And kudos to her mom for being able to find somebody, to trust somebody again with her child and with herself. Because I didn't find
especially after that crazy experience.
Yeah, who the fuck's gonna trust a man after that?
Yeah, no, I wouldn't.
Yeah, so I mean, kudos for her for healing, and that, I don't know, it was a fun story. So actually, how I found these people. So you and I were talking about like trying to do like a fun birthday because our birthdays were just now passed, and you were like, we should find like a fun birthday story of some sort of whatever. Yeah, I couldn't find anything, but I was like, you know what? Let me look up the Virgo serial killers that are out there. And I just happened to stumble across Susan. And I was like, her birthday's right in between ours. So let's learn a little bit about Susan. And all of a sudden I was like, Susan and the San Francisco witch killers. I'm like, what? Witch killers? And I'm just reading it and I'm just like, what the fuck? Like, what the fuck? They got away with so many things, yet nothing at the same time. I was so confused, but intrigued all at the same time.
Well, it was a lot easier back then, too, to do that.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely.
And in California, which made it even more easier.
It was way easier back then, which actually, there's oh gosh, what's it called? I'm going to have an episode about it, like an era of serial killers. It was really, there's a special name for it. I saw it and I'm like, oh, that's interesting. Shit, I'm losing my brain on that one. I don't remember what it's called. But like why that era ended And this is about the time that it did end.
Yeah.
So they joined the party too late. Thank goodness. Only 3 people.
Well, supposedly.
3 people that they actually, could have been convicted for.
She seemed pretty reckless, so I'm sure there's a lot more out there, unfortunately. But she seemed pretty reckless and self-centered, and how she could ever think that she could start a religion is beyond me, because it seemed like anybody offended her or came across at her the wrong way was going to die.
Well, like I said, she also joined the party like way too late. It's the 80s. By this, like late 70s, early 80s, by this point, you've had how many cults that were very unsuccessful?
Correct.
Like, I think everybody by this point, like, fool me once, shame on you, fool me twice, shame on me, fool me 3 times, we're all fucking idiots. Like, she's the third try at this point. They're like,
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I don't like her.
No, I did not like her. Suzan. Y'all need to leave Karens alone. Start calling them Susans.
Seriously. Sorry if your name's Susan Toasty.
Yeah, sorry.
It's not that bad a name.
No. Neither are Karens, though.
No.
But, yeah, very interesting. But I'm looking forward to I was going to do that. This was enter into the spooky seasons, but we ended up getting actually a pretty great comment on TikToks.
Yes, we did.
From Raul.
Yes.
And we want to say a big shout out to you, Raul, because you share something in common with us, and that is the one love.
Correct. We really appreciate it, and especially reaching out and letting us know that we're not alone, just like how we talk and let y'all know that y'all are not alone.
No, not alone at all. And we really wanted to give that shout out to you, Raul, because you said you like to listen. And we hope you are hearing this. That one love to you, my friend, my toasty.
Absolutely.
And we want to keep spreading that one love.
Yes.
So this next story that we're going to be having coming out, it's going to be another doozy. So you guys better come back. Better come listen to it. Come listen to our shenanigans.
Yep.
It's going to be fun. And we're just going to keep spreading the love. We sound like fucking hippies. But you know
what? You are a hippie.
I know.
Can't really say that I am, but
I am on that video of people who are like holding the sign saying free hugs. Although I don't want you to hug me.
Oh, don't say no. I'm not doing free hugs.
I'm not doing free hugs. Well, maybe.
I wish you the best. But don't touch me.
It depends on the day. I might hug you. There's some people I might that day. I don't know. But I'll be the person who's like standing in the middle of an argument, but like, how we just love each other. Hug it out.
Yep.
That's me.
You would be like that.
Hug it out. Let's talk about this.
That is not me.
Well, that's not yeah. People need to start listening to each other.
I'm the one getting into the fight.
I know. That's okay. I'll be right behind you.
God damn it, Jazzy.
God damn it. Sorry about this.
Do you want a hug?
I'll give you a hug when she's done. And then I'll wrap your boo-boos.
Yep. That's messy.
Yeah, that is. But yeah, we wanted to say thank you and biggest shout out to you, Raul, for the one love comment, because exactly that is what we're about. We're about love. About the one love. Everybody needs to love each other. Love each other, guys. Don't kill each other because you think you're witches. Love each other.
And mind your business.
Mind your damn business. Be kind.
They ain't hurting you.
Be kind.
Just keep your mouth shut.
Be nice. Yeah. Shut your fucking mouth. Don't judge nobody. Because trust me, you got some skeletons in your fucking closet.
Absolutely. We all do.
Everybody does. So don't fucking judge. Don't hate. Don't tell anybody to be quiet. Don't tell anybody to sit down. Be nice. Be fucking nice. Or you can sit down. Sorry, that was a ramble. Anyways, make sure you guys find us on the TikToks, the Facebooks, and the Instagrams, and all the things. And go to our website, toastedshenanigans.com, and check us out all there. Until then, make sure you hit that bell, like, follow, share, subscribe. Keep sending your ideas to us. And
tell your neighbor.
Tell your neighbor. And send some love to everybody. Give yourself a hug. Love your damn self. How about that? Start there.
Start there.
That's where really everybody needs to fucking start. But until next time, guys.
Bye.